Hey, it's 3 wins in a row for our Chicago White Sox. Exciting game on the South Side Wednesday night. Sox beat the first place Minnesota Twins once again. And in a night where Dylan Cease struggled, the Sox found a way to win. Billy Hamilton provided the spark, and Luis Robert Jr. flexed the power. Sox go for the sweep on Thursday with Lucas Giolito on the hill.
You are Locked On White Sox, your daily Chicago White Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, Sox fans, welcome to Locked On White Sox. Thank you for making Locked On White Sox your first listen each and every day. We're free and available on all platforms. Follow us on Twitter at Locked On Sox. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just search Locked On White Sox. Today's episode is brought to you by Rocket Money. Stop throwing your money away. Cancel unwanted subscriptions and manage your expenses the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/lockedonmlb. Hey, I'm your host, Nick Morawski, a lifelong diehard Chicago White Sox fan, recording this podcast just blocks from the ballpark in beautiful Bridgeport. You can find me on Twitter at Nick_GGTB. Locked On White Sox is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Our Chicago White Sox play host to the Minnesota Twins on Thursday. Lucas Giolito on the hill for the Sox in the series finale. Catch every pitch of the White Sox hometown broadcast with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Search White Sox. How about those White Sox? They are now 10-21, 7 games back only in the AL Central. Get all that White Sox gear out of the closet and basement that you crumpled up and threw somewhere. Get it back on. The Sox are back. What a great win by our White Sox on Wednesday. There's lots to like, some stuff to be concerned about always. Dylan Cease, we're going to get into that in detail in this episode. A little concerned about him after this last start. Sox got their third win in a row, lock up their first series win of the season, and now go for the sweep on Thursday against those Twins. Billy Hamilton is a pretty good story right now. Another great story is Liam Hendriks. He spoke to the media before Wednesday's game. Such an amazing story. Pedro Grifol said Liam Hendriks will need 4 or 5 rehab appearances before he's ready, which is the same estimate for how many appearances Garrett Crochet has left. It was a Dylan Cease day, a Dylan Cease night, I guess, on Wednesday. You know, he had just such a remarkable season in 2022. And always interesting when he faces against the Minnesota Twins. Of course, lost that no-hitter in the ninth at the hands of Luis Ariz, who's no longer on the Twins. But, when you are putting together the type of season that he put together and, up there in the Cy Young voting, came in second behind Verlander, it is so tough to follow that kind of year up. It really is. It just doesn't happen. If you go back and you look at, Cy Young winners or even pitchers that were in that top 3, it's difficult to get right back into that conversation and put up those numbers. The story's out on you. It's not like Cease was hiding anyway last year, but teams perk up a little bit when they see Dylan Cease on the hill. Okay, I want this guy. This guy's the team ace. What he did last year, I want to match myself up against what I can do against the best, and that's Dylan Cease. So after 7 starts last year in 2022, Dylan Cease was 3-1 with a 3.55 ERA, 58 strikeouts. He really took off a little bit later in the season, but not a bad start after 7 outings last year. Now, after 7 starts this season, including Wednesday, 2-1 with a 4.58 ERA and only 43 strikeouts. So strikeouts are down, ERA is up, and it's kind of it is felt like it. We'll go into some detail a little bit later in this episode. The hype over one win that was real. That walk off against Tampa turned into a 2-game winning streak, I guess you want to call it, with another walk-off with Andrew Benintendi. And then, hey, Sox are now 3 in a row. Andrew Vaughn, again, this quote, this was from him after he walked it off against the Rays on Sunday. It could be the start of something great. We just have to keep rolling. Well, you also have to make some changes, and the White Sox did that. They made those 11 roster moves, talked about it on the most recent Lockdown White Sox episode. I was still processing a little bit of the moves. Was it the right decision here and there? Definitely the right decision with Jake Diekman. And, of course, Billy Hamilton's numbers just not there to bring him up. However, he provides so many intangibles. Obviously, he's got kind of that TWTW, man. There's something that you can't quantify in the metrics with a Billy Hamilton. Obviously, he's got the speed. He showed it off on Wednesday night. What an exciting spark from Billy Hamilton. I'm still kind of wrestling with the Oscar Colas situation. I don't know why. I kind of just need to let it go, but I'm reading more quotes from Pedro Grifol, and it's kind of just, I'm questioning it a little bit more. This is what Grifol said on Oscar Colas recently. His plate discipline wasn't exactly matching the major league level at this particular time. He wasn't producing the way we anticipated, and that happens. This is a tough level to play at. Some guys get here and produce right away. Some guys don't. Some guys need to go back down and continue to develop. It's the players who play the game, and when they don't achieve at the level we've projected, this is Rick Hahn now, they certainly bear a level of responsibility for that, Hahn told reporters this week. But at the end of the day, the people who put the players on the roster, put them on the field, are the ones who bear the responsibility if that group doesn't achieve. That's me. So you got Pedro Grifol saying, well, maybe, some guys just need to go back down to continue to develop. Well, it's not like he started in AAA this season and then was brought up and now is going back down. He started at the big league level. This was a decision made by probably the front office in the offseason when they knew they weren't going to get serious about a real right fielder, hyped up Oscar Colas, all the people that know those things in terms of the farm system and, prospect talent. It's like, watch out for this guy. He can play some defense, but his bat, all this stuff. And he had a good spring training. It's troubling that you're going to take a guy that, you pushed and fanned the flames and started the season with the big league club. And then you're going to say to him, well, your numbers aren't, they're not projecting the way we wanted you to, or what someone should. So we're going to send you back down. It's like he wasn't supposed to be hitting those numbers right away. There was definitely going to be some learning involved. It was probably going to happen for most of the season. And again, he was supposed to hide in a lineup that featured thunder and lightning from Jimenez, Robert Jr., Moncada, Anderson, Vaughn. So again, after reading some of those comments and then the stuff from Rick Hahn about talking about, put the blame on me, like we're the ones that constructed it. Well, I am putting it on you. And then when he said back in October at the beginning of this past off season, if it ever get to the point where I felt like I wasn't the right person in my role, I'd step aside. And then lucky enough that he's got the support from Jerry in the front office and all that other stuff. But come on. I mean, I just don't think Oscar Colas should have been the fall guy. However, if Oscar Colas doesn't go down, maybe Hamilton doesn't come up, and whatever's going on with the Sox these last few games, especially, I don't know, maybe they've got the right chemistry at this moment, and you just got to continue with that. Checking in on every team's big offseason acquisition. This was an article from Will Leach, MLB.com, and they were obviously focusing on White Sox left fielder Andrew Benintendi, the $75 million guy. A key stat that 327 slugging percentage coming into Wednesday's game. Will Leach had this to say, short and sweet, about Benintendi. How you feel about Benintendi is doing, how he's doing may depend on your pre-existing views of him, because he's essentially putting up his exact career numbers. Now, Benintendi was the hero on Tuesday. He has not hit a home run yet, waiting for him to wear the home run jacket and hat in the dugout. I mean, he can flash the leather. He gets his hits. I feel like, he can keep the line moving. I had an interesting bunt base hit on Wednesday. So the bar was really low at left field for the Chicago White Sox. I mean, they had two corner outfielders last year that were first baseman DH. So you bring in a proven left fielder that's got a gold glove. He can hit, and he's a lefty. It wasn't a horrible decision. Again, the money is going to confuse everybody. Obviously, the largest contract in White Sox history for this guy. That's a whole nother, episode and conversation ongoing. But the Sox needed a guy like Benintendi. They just weren't going to pay top dollar for some other stud and during the offseason. So keeping an eye on him, his slash line last year with the Royals and Yankees, 304, 373, 399. Again, he was an all-star in 2022 and won a gold glove in 2021. Right now, slash line coming into Wednesday's game, 277, 330, 327. So, he's getting his average up there. I'd really like to see more pop, though. Got to see some pop. Got to see, not only just the doubles ringing off the wall like he talked about when he was signed, but I need to see some baseballs going out of the ballpark. Grifol, after Tuesday's walk-off win, when it was 2 in a row, a great ball game. Anytime you have a chance to win a couple in a row, you start building a little momentum. We dug ourselves a hole, and now we probably are going to have to take our time to get back to where we want to be. I'm not going to let anyone get too far ahead. We've got to be ready to play on Wednesday. And they were, for the most part. The energy never stopped. The work never stopped. And that was really impressive to me. It's hard to go through a streak like that where there's not a letdown on that particular end. So I was really happy on that end. The fundamental side of it, I'm not happy. I don't think anybody's happy here to a man. Controlling the running game, I'm not happy about it. Cutoffs and relays, I'm not happy about it. Runners in scoring position, I'm not happy about it. Controlling the strike zone, we're not. Those are things we have to clean up if we win consistently here, and we are going to clean them up. So, again, he's asking people to do things that should have been taken care of in the offseason, in my mind. I mean, some of the fundamental stuff, these guys should have been doing it a long time ago. I thought Pedro Grifol was going to take care of this. December, January, start having these team conversations, definitely during spring training. Are players just not listening? Do they not care? Was it the World Baseball Classic that disrupted everything? Is Grifol not able to deliver the message properly? Some of the stuff the Sox are failing at in terms of fundamentals are the stuff that professional baseball players should already be doing, probably since middle school. Dylan Cease has not looked sharp during this 2023 campaign, not compared to last season. But on Wednesday, he had some control problems again. Sox offense and bullpen stepped up. More on that in a moment. Today's episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. It's so easy to get caught up in what everyone else needs from you and never take a moment to think about what you need from yourself. But when we spend all of our time giving, it can leave us feeling stretched, thin, and burned out. Therapy can give you the tools to find more balance in your life so you can keep supporting others without leaving yourself behind. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online. designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Find more balance with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/lockedonmlb today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedonmlB. The White Sox play the Minnesota Twins on Thursday afternoon on the south side. Lucas Giolito on the hill. Catch every pitch of the White Sox hometown broadcast with Sirius XM on the SXM app. Search White Sox. Dylan Cease, the last time facing the Twins before Wednesday, that was April 10th. He went 5 innings, 3 hits, 3 runs, only one earned run, a couple walks, and 6 strikeouts. He did get the win. Minnesota was throwing Louis Varland. It was his first start of the season. That before Wednesday's game against the White Sox, he only had 1 start, 6 innings, 6 hits, 3 earned runs against the Yankees on April 14th. Varland faced the Sox twice last season and had some success. Sox relievers, the collective 6.86 ERA of White Sox relievers, currently the worst mark of any such group in the MLB heading into Wednesday. Bullpen was pretty sharp, though. And Sox starters, that rotation, 5.22 ERA, which ranked 24th in baseball. Looking forward to not seeing Alexander Colomé in a high leverage situation coming into Wednesday's game. It was game 31. Sox beat the Twins 6-4. Wednesday featured a consistent lineup from what we've been seeing recently. So if you're a fan of consistent lineups, you were a fan of Wednesday's lineup. You know, there were a lot of moments last season after a win or even 2 wins where that lineup got all kinds of screwed up. So it's good to see, hey, let's go with what works for another day. Interesting to see what might happen on Thursday, but there is an injury to get to, so that might change the lineup a little bit. Top of first, Dylan Cease with a 96 mile per hour first pitch strike. Kepler fouled off one that was at 97 miles per hour. Slider was effective very early, got ahead of Polanco. Down 2-0 to Correa. Cease threw a 96 mile per hour fastball right down Main Street, and thankfully it was just lined out to Robert in center. Only 11 pitches, 8 of them for strikes for Cease. Bottom of the first, leadoff walk for Tim Anderson. Benintendi had a 3-0 count, flew out to left. Then Vaughn struck out on a high fastball out of the zone. Eloy with a base hit. TA took third. Good to see that knee was feeling good in the cold weather. And then Luis Robert Jr. with runners on the corners. He worked the count, crushed a 3-run home run. Absolutely critical to have him swinging the bat well and getting those kinds of results quickly. 3-0 Sox. Top of second. Dylan starting the inning with a 3-run lead. How does he work here? Can't lose the focus is the big thing. Buxton led things off with a walk. Came back to strike out Larnach on a perfect slider. Was starting to fall behind more hitters than he did the previous inning. Got Gallo to pop out. Gordon swung at the first pitch, which I thought was an interesting decision. He flew out to end the inning. Let's go top of 3. Cease had 27 pitches on his arm entering the inning. First hit allowed by Cease was to Castro at the top. Third strikeout of the game was to Jeffers. Again, that fastball around 96 miles per hour. Now with 2 outs, Twins had runners at the corners. Correa, full count hanger. It was crushed down the third base line past Berger. Both runs scored. Now it was 3-2 White Sox. Buxton doubled off the wall. Game tied at 3. All of that damage with 2 outs. Both teams scored a run in their respective 4th innings. So it was 4-4. Cease just a little sloppy. Gave up runs in the 3rd and 4th. Walked way too many guys. Nick Gordon with his second home run of the series. So let's take it to top of 5. Minnesota starter Varland still in the game at this moment. Andrew Vaughn got on with 1 out. After Eloy struck out, Minnesota did go to the bullpen with 2 outs to face Luis Robert Jr. He cannot lay off a 96-mile-per-hour fastball at the letters. He worked the count full, fouled off a 97-mile-per-hour fastball down the middle, and then he was frozen on a cutter at the bottom of the strike zone. Really a nice job of changing the eye level of Robert in that at bat. Top of 6. Sox went to their bullpen. Didn't like it when I saw it. Aaron Bummer came into the game. It was tied. And then Alberto switched to third base. Berger left the game with a side discomfort. Bummer got a strikeout, ground out, then a 2-out walk issued. Bummer was pulled then in favor of Santos. Yaz threw out a base runner, which was surprising. An inning was over, no damage. Bottom of 6, Sheets struck out. Yaz with a base hit. Yaz is not an automatic out like he was last year. Again, love to see a little bit more power, but still, if you can just keep the line moving, that'd be nice. Elvis, he has been an automatic out for the most part, just a dribbler to the pitcher to end the inning. Exciting stuff here in the top of the 7th. Santos still in the game. 2 on, nobody out for the Twins. Polanco bunts. Santos slips coming off the mound and falls. Can't make a play. Bases loaded. And then Tim Anderson with a really nice decision to throw home on a chopper back to him. Yaz with a nice pick at home on the other end. 1 out. Then Byron Buxton with a bat-breaking comebacker to Santos. He fields his position this time, gets the force at home, 2 outs. You got Larnach up with the bases loaded. Santos had him 0-2. Larnach worked the count full, then a big 92-mile-per-hour slider to strike out Larnach and escape the 7th inning. That was huge. Twins again had the bases loaded, nobody out, couldn't get anything done. Bottom of the 7th, Anderson led off with a single. Boy, we missed him. Got picked off at first, though, which was absolutely pulling your hair out of your head situation, though. Benintendi with a bunt base hit. Very interesting. He saw how the left side of the infield was playing. He laid down a really nice bunt. And then Andrew Vaughn with some good plate discipline, drew a walk. Eloy, 2 on, 1 out. He rips a single. Benintendi comes around to score. 5-4 Sox. Couple of missed opportunities by Robert and Sheets to pile it on, but it was really nice to see the White Sox make it hurt after the Twins failed to score in their half of the 7th. Top of 8, bullpen needs to lock it down, please. Graveman came in. Tim Anderson with some great defense, and Graveman with a strikeout. Clean 8th. Bottom of the 8th, an exciting inning once again. 1 or 2 more runs would have been nice. That's what I was yelling to myself out loud at the TV. Hamilton came in to pinch run, and a bunt got him to second with 1 out. Elvis with a ground ball to shortstop. Hamilton was running on the pitch, and he flew home on the throw to first. A great heads-up base running, 6-4 White Sox. And then in the 9th, it was Middleton. He had a 2-run cushion, 11 pitch at bat, ended with a 2-out walk to Polanco. And then Middleton struck out Correa. Game over. White Sox now have a 3-game winning streak. Cease's final line, 5 innings, 5 hits, 4 earned runs, 4 walks, 6 strikeouts, 1 home run. His ERA 4.580 through 98 pitches. You got to go back a while to when Cease went 6 innings in a game. It's a little troublesome, this pattern that has been developing for Dylan Cease. A lot of walks, a lot of pitches. He's only given you 4 or 5 innings lately. Bullpen, though, was lights out. 4 innings, 3 hits, 0 runs, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts. Sox offense, 6 runs, 12 hits, just only 1 extra base hit again. That was that Luis Robert Jr. home run. Sox were 3 for 9 with runners in scoring position. 7 guys left on base. The series win has been locked up, but how sweet would it be to sweep the first place Twins? Lucas Giolito is the man for the job. More on that in a moment. Today's episode is brought to you by Rocket Money. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills all in one place. Over 80% of people have subscriptions they forgot about, and chances are you're one of them, like that Stars app just to watch one show or that free gaming trial you never actually used. Rocket Money will quickly and easily find your subscriptions for you. And if you don't want any of them, just hit cancel, and Rocket Money will cancel it for you. It's that easy. Rocket Money also helps you to manage your finances all in one place, automatically categorize your expenses so you can easily track your budget in real time and also get alerted if anything looks off. Over 3 million people have used Rocket Money, saving the average person up to $720 a year. Stop throwing your money away, cancel unwanted subscriptions, and manage your expenses the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/LockedOnMLB. That's rocketmoney.com/LockedOnMLB. All right, Thursday, opportunity for the Sox to sweep with Lucas Giolito on the hill. Last 4 starts for Lucas Giolito, 25 and 2/3 of an inning, 18 hits, 7 earned runs, only 2 home runs, 5 walks, 25 strikeouts in those 25 and 2/3 of an innings. Has not gone less than 6 innings in his last 4 starts. So kind of the opposite of what's been happening with Dylan Cease. Lucas Giolito has looked pretty sharp ever since that kind of meltdown in Pittsburgh way back when. Last time Giolito faced the Twins, it was this year, of course, April 12th. His line was 6 innings, 7 strikeouts, 1 earned run. That game, that was the Gavin Sheets nightmare in right field game where he kind of spun around and fell and allowed a triple to happen. And that was tagged on Giolito's line. So hopefully if Gavin Sheets is in right field, hopefully we don't see anything like that, even close. So looking ahead here, okay, the Sox are on a 3-game winning streak. They're 10 and 21. They're now 7 games back in the division. This was the whole month of May, easier schedule stuff. And that's all well and good. But if you're not making changes, like Grifol had mentioned in that rant about fundamentals and stuff that should have been happening a long time ago, but absolutely needs to be cleaned up now. Maybe these roster moves have created a chemistry balance of some sort. So looking ahead after this finale against the Twins on Thursday, you've got 3 against the Reds in Cincinnati, and then 4 against the Royals in Kansas City. So again, the Royals play the White Sox tough absolutely every single year in Kansas City. Interesting to see Pedro Grifol go back to where he was for so many years. But first things first, take care of business against the Twins on Thursday and get that first sweep of the season. Thanks so much for making this podcast part of your daily routine. You can find the Locked On White Sox podcast absolutely everywhere you find your podcast. We're on Twitter at Locked On Sox. You can find me on Twitter at Nick_GGTB. Hey, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. The White Sox take on the Twins. Lucas Giolito on the hill. Catch every pitch of the White Sox hometown broadcast with SiriusXM and the SXM app. Search White Sox. Thanks for making Locked On White Sox your first listen every day. Hey, everydayers, you know who you are. On the next episode, I will recap Lucas Giolito's outing and hopefully be talking about a sweep for our White Sox. Appreciate you making time for the Locked On White Sox podcast. I'm Nick Morawski. Until next time, go Sox.